From city to city all across the United States, approximately 582,462 people are experiencing homelessness. That is according to the latest calculation by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Of those without a home, around 60% spend their nights in shelters, safe havens, or transitional homes. The remaining 40%, or around 233,000 people, are sleeping on the street, in abandoned buildings, cars, or anywhere in between each night. Today, I have traveled to San Diego, California to meet with a personal friend of mine named John. We first met in December 2012, and now, a little over 10 years later, I've come back to San Diego to help share John's story and give you a look at homelessness through a stranger's shoes perspective.
Oh, we got some really wacky people. Oh my God! There's two types of homeless people. There's homeless people that become homeless and decide that's what their life's going to be the rest of their life. And the other half of them say, I'm going to figure out a way to get out of this.
Right.
And to get a new life. And that's what I did. But I had to quit.
How long were you homeless total? Or do you think you were total?
Between Florida and here?
Yeah.
About a year.
About a year total you were on? Yeah. Like, wasn't it like a home of like a bunch of people?
Yeah.
And you all had to like work as a group?
Yeah.
And stand out on the corners? And then
8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And we got 10% of the money that we brought in.
Yeah, and you all had to all put it in one big pot, right?
Yep. And that girl wound up on 2020 for fraud.
Really?
Yeah. She was keeping the money and using it to gamble.
Oh.
And to buy cocaine.
And then you ended up leaving that and coming here.
And doing the same thing for a while.
How did you get here? Like on a Greyhound bus?
No, they drove me here.
Oh, okay.
The same guys that were collecting the money drove me from Vegas to here.
Because weren't they also doing like the same type of operation here?
Yeah, and that's what I did.
Okay.
But I started drinking after work. We were allowed to roam around a little bit for a couple of hours.
Right.
So I found a liquor store right near where I was sleeping.
Okay.
So I started with one shot of whiskey, then it was 2. And I remember one night I had 9, and they kicked me out.
Gotcha.
It smelled like booze during the day.
Gotcha.
When I was working.
And then you ended up on the streets, and then I met you.
Yeah, that was it.
How serious is the homelessness problem in this country compared to a few years ago?
Well, the problem of homelessness has been getting worse in this country compared to a few years ago. From 2007 to 2016, it had been going down pretty steadily every year. But starting in 2016, it's been creeping up every year, including this year, as far as we know.
And do you understand why that is?
I think it's largely due to the lack of affordable housing and housing getting more expensive, and also what people earn purchasing less housing.
And is that due to federal policy, state policy? What would you ascribe it to?
It's due to the market to some degree. I mean, we really don't have an adequate supply of housing in the U.S. anymore. We're about 5 million units short of having an adequate supply of housing overall. And in the affordable housing category, it's even worse. We're about 7 million units short of enough affordable housing for all of the low-income households that need it. And that really is the driver around homelessness.
So this path might not take us to where we need to go. But it might take us to exactly where we need to go, because they also are very good at finding ways to make their transport easier and lighter. You think so? So we have found a shortcut for us to get to the trolley, and instead of us going on the main roads and whatnot, instead we have found this path that looks like the locals have used to cut through and get to the other side without walking all the way down and to the actual highway.
What do you think, left or right?
I don't know. I'd say we go right and stay off the water.
I'm with that.
They're going down right there.
That's pretty easy to get back to the hotel, though.
Yeah, it's not bad. Now that we know and kind of have a little bit more bearing on what's actually going on. So that's the Mission Valley Preserve.
It's got plenty of homes down there.
It's got plenty of homes if you want to have somewhere to stay. How do you clean up the tents and stuff and get these people that are living like this?
They tell them they have to leave. They leave all this crap behind and they throw it in the garbage, even if it's bicycles, everything. They just dump it because they tell the people they have to leave, so they can't carry all the stuff that they've gathered. So there's crap and garbage everywhere, and then they just go somewhere else. But there's more people becoming homeless here than there are people getting a place to sleep.
Right.
So it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. In LA, it's horrible.
Then is that kind of ultimately like the biggest issue is there's not enough places for people and or like the cost of living is so high that no one can afford a place to live?
Yeah, well the other part is mental illness too. There's some people you can offer them a bed, but they'll wind up fighting with everybody. They'll wind up having to go out to get high. They'll wind up ODing or they'll wind up getting the heebie-jeebies, what they get if they don't have what they want.
Yeah.
I remember I was like that with booze.
This is San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria. He has made great efforts in addressing the homeless problem, such as increasing the amount of beds available at shelters by as much as 25%, with plans to add more. The city is also working to remove the trash and encampments that line the highways and has a dedicated budget of approximately $68.9 million for homeless services. Even with all of these efforts, the question remains, is it working?
We are showing thousands of people who are not on the streets every night because of our shelter beds. We're showing hundreds of people transitioning from those shelter beds into housing, but it's still not enough.
One of the hardest issues to deal with is mental health and substance abuse. Currently, no one can be required to seek help, but legislation is in process to possibly change that later this year, called Care Court, which would require accountability and treatment.
Right now in California is that if we approach them with one of our outreach workers and say, would you like some assistance, and they turn us down, that's the end of the conversation. And that is just wrong.
This is what I got from AA. It has an X on it. That's my 10-year coin for being sober for 10 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? I'm going to I'll go to a coin dealer and get a little case to put it in. I got a bunch of them. They go with me everywhere I go. Hey, you want a close-up? They put it right side up.
Yeah.
There we go. 10 years, man. Wow, I'm getting a flashback here. This was just a horrible night.
Really?
I didn't even know how I wound up in here. I was walking to the liquor store, and all of a sudden, I went boom, and I crashed into one of the, right over there where that bench is. I hit my head on the part that's sticking out, and it went like this to my head. It went, just ripped the skin. I ripped up both hands because I fell like this. I must have been running. I don't remember. All I remember when I felt the crash, it woke me up. And now I'm lying on the ground, and there's blood. There was a lot of blood. So I called 911. And you know how weird it is to be lying on the ground, and you have an ambulance, and you can hear it like blocks away, and you know that it's for you.
You know it's for you.
It's so weird. So I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and the nurses said, now you don't come back here again because we don't offer a bed to people that are drunk all the time. And you've been in here 3 times now. We keep track. And she said, you better not come in here again. And I sobered up a couple of weeks later, so worked out.
Yeah, so that was all like right after I met
there.
you then.
You'd get a shot of that bench.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hit the part where you sit and it's all concrete, you know? So, and it's like rock, so it's grainy.
Yeah.
So it just ripped my skin like this.
Man.
Wow, it's still here.
So like I said, that had to be right, like within a few weeks after I met you.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, it hadn't happened yet.
Yeah. Because I met you, and then like a month after that's whenever you got sober, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I met you the middle of December when you got sober.
January 25th.
Yeah.
Wow. You must have helped me out in some way.
So there was a lot that happened all within a couple of weeks after leaving and getting you a backpack.
Yeah, it got worse.
Yeah.
Everything got worse, you know. I don't remember why I crashed, but I couldn't wait to get out of the hospital so I could get more booze. Let's go back this way.
Yeah. So how did you find out that there was a piano on the 4th floor?
Somebody told me in the lobby. 'Cause I was talking to someone. I said, yeah, I'm a piano player, but I haven't played for a while. And they go, there's a piano on the 4th floor. So I went up there. I was playing it once, and this girl heard me, and she hired me to play at a convention that was up there.
Really?
Yeah. So I played like 2 hours for $200. That was a lot of money back then.
Of course. So in a way, being able to play the piano and having that skill also helped save you.
Yeah, eventually. Because I was able to get right back to work.
Yeah.
Once I got sober and I got in that place. I was playing in places within like 3 months. I already had my first center. And then I had about 20 of them.
Right.
Now I got about 10. It's enough for me. I can't work that much anymore.
I mean, if you were in a position of being able to make changes, how would you try to even start to address helping these people? Like what do you do to actually help them get off the street?
Yeah, I'm a patient representative for my health clinic where I go to my doctors. And I also did a public service announcement that they play in the clinic. Every time I go to the doctor, I got to see myself.
Yeah, so that
and
really
I was
is
telling
okay.
them to take the vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I explained that it didn't hurt, Kev. It didn't hurt. And, you know, it was easy. Just go get it. And you don't get sick, especially if you smoke or if you're over 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people decided to take it because they saw my ad. There's a lot you can do. You make a place with beds. You got to have monitors. You got to feed them. You know, and the state pays for all that. They have money.
Right.
But there's some that just can't ever be put in a place like that. Because it's mental illness that they have, not just substance abuse.
Mm-hmm. But how do you adjust the mental illness part of it? Do you make them go to treatment, or do you just end up leaving them? You know, because at some point it almost seems like that's one or the other, right?
It's almost like they leave them, like they consider it hopeless. Most of the people had to make up their own mind that they were going to do that. But some people, they like being homeless. That's their life. But the others, like people that are on crystal meth or fentanyl, which is killing people now, they can't live in a place with other people. Mm-hmm. They're out of control. And I really don't know what they do with those people. They're still out there, I know that.
Oh, yeah. You can really see Petco Park now.
It looks really cool at night. That globe used to be the library. They turned it into a homeless shelter.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They have, like, I don't know, 400 beds in there or something like that. They're trying. See, it used to be, if somebody was criminally insane, they would be put in a home illegally, you know. But they don't do that anymore. They can't.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is at what point either they're a lost cause to the city and they're just going to let them live on the streets and in a tent like they do, or...
But they got to keep making more room for the ones that are halfway normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And there's no room.
They're still adding. They keep adding, but they can't keep up with how many people are becoming homeless because of the COVID. A lot of people lost work and they lost money. They got kicked out of their apartments. Remember, people had free rent for a while.
Right.
And they lived it up, you know, getting high and whatever they were doing. And now they have to leave and they don't have anywhere to live. Look, you see the Navy fleet over there.
And then they go right back to just doing what they were doing beforehand, or worse.
Mm-hmm. They have to go, hey, it's open. Welcome. Just look around for a grand piano. It would be in the lobby.
When's the last time you've been here?
It's been a while. When they had Comic-Con a
Okay.
couple of years ago. 3 years ago?
When was the last time you played the
4
piano
years.
up here, though?
About 4 years ago.
About 4 years ago, you came up here and played it?
Comic-Con, there are people all around.
Okay.
But, once I sit at it, they know that I know what I'm doing, so they don't kick me out.
They kind of leave you alone, don't think
The
you're here
security
playing.
came and he stood by me first and said, "Do you know Hotel California?" And I said, "Yeah."
There it is.
There it is. See if it's locked.